Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and we are back talking more Pittsburgh sports here this fine evening. Not too much Steelers news here today. We're going to get into a couple of comments that a former Steeler made today. Also, the Steelers made two more additions, re-signed a pair of players on defense. And of course, the Pittsburgh Pirates, being a dumpster fire like always, a new report from DK Pittsburgh Sports came out today, and it showed that the Pirates, they are an actual representation of a sinking pirate ship. We're going to get to that here in a moment. Welcome back, Flacco. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good evening. Let's hop into this real quick. So Najee Harris, former Steelers running back, former first-round pick of the Steelers, now with the Los Angeles Chargers on a signed 1-year, $9.25 million contract from last weekend. Well, Najee has been doing, the whole new player media tour, like how NFL players do when they reach new teams. You're seeing DK Metcalf do it, Darius Slay, having big media press conferences and then one-on-one interviews with team affiliated reporters and whatnot. Well, Najee, in his main press conference when he first signed out in LA, said that, oh yeah, the Steelers, this facility is nice compared to the Steelers. We have a nice weight room and all that. So Najee then took a shot at the Steelers facility there. And now in an interview with team reporters, not going to get into the whole thing here, Najee basically said that when he was in Pittsburgh for most of the time, the Steelers had no veteran presence on offense, and that, quote, we didn't know anything on offense. We didn't have an identity, citing that the Steelers lost guys like Marquise Pouncey and Ben Roethlisberger and, all those guys from the old Steelers core retiring and whatnot, and cited, I'm pretty sure he was referencing Deontay Johnson when he said, yeah, the oldest guy in our room on offense, on the whole entire offensive side of the ball, was like only 3 years in the league. So Najee taking another shot at the Steelers, and that to me is him saying, taking shots at Mike Tomlin, saying there wasn't enough veteran leadership on our side of the ball to help us, learn the ropes. And Najee said that he had to, as an offensive player, go to the defense where you have Cam, TJ, all those guys over there on that side to sort of, with questions, because there was nobody on the offensive side of the ball. And honestly, I mean, part of me I have two thoughts on this. One, first of all, Najee's right. Tomlin has bungled the offense ever since Seven retired. I don't think any of us are going to disagree with that, Flacco. I cannot be mad at Najee. The Steelers are greedy and don't spend much money on offense or their facility. Truth hurts. Yeah, truth does hurt. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, now it looks like they're finally starting to pay a little bit of money on offense, giving DK Metcalf a franchise record-setting 5-year, $125 million extension. But yeah, so one, I feel that Najee is in the right. Tomlin has bungled the offense. As a defensive-minded head coach, he thought that, we're just going to throw all these kids and try to win off talent alone and high draft pedigree and whatnot. But then on the other side is that, okay, Najee, we get it that things sucked here in Pittsburgh, but you got to realize that it is, you're a part of the reason why the offense has sucked the past 4 years you were with the Steelers. You're a first round draft pick for a reason. You have talent, but even without a veteran holding your hand the whole way, and even with a subpar O-line and a absolutely clueless offensive coordinator for most of your tenure, you got to show a little bit more self-improvement, because first round pick I believe, what was he, 22nd overall back in 2021? Like, it's not a veteran, showing you the ropes fault that you couldn't hit a hole with speed to, save your life over the past couple of years. It's not a veteran holding your hand, not being there holding your hand. It's not their fault that, when you run, you don't have breakaway speed. You look like you're running in skinny jeans. So part of me says, Najee, you're speaking the truth. It's just coming from the wrong person. If you truly feel this way, which you do, you should have spoken up when you were here. That's my opinion on that. So wish you the best of luck out in LA, but continue to indict Tallman all you want, but remember, you're part of that failure as well. Flacco back in here, hashtag pay Pickens. I mean, I don't think, you just said they don't spend much money on offense, and they just gave a contract that Pickens wants to DK Metcalf, so it's up to Pickens whether he wants to get paid. He's going to get paid, by all means, but is he going to get paid here? That's a completely indifferent question. He's going to get paid. He fell to the second round to the Steelers because of his attitude, but he's got first round talent, and multiple teams well after he leaves the Steelers are going to give him multiple chances. But I mean, pay Pickens if he shows improvement, not in his play. His play's been phenomenal. Like maybe he can show a little bit more effort, but overall his production is there when you're getting him the ball. But if he improves off the field, if he's a good teammate, doesn't have any snafus, isn't late to game or any of that, I'd pay Pickens. I'd give him a similar contract to DK Metcalf, especially if Flacco, like you just said here, draft Jackson Dart. Rookie quarterbacks, if you hit on one of them, you open up your window immediately to compete. If you get the right rookie quarterback there on a reasonable price, I'd pay Pickens, without hesitation, because in the NFL anymore, you need 2 wide receivers if you are going to, have a more than decent modern day offense. You see the Super Bowl champion winning Philadelphia Eagles. Who'd they have? Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Who do the Bengals have? Even though they didn't make the playoffs last year, but they're still a formidable offense to deal with. They got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Good luck paying a defense there, Cincinnati. Trying to think of some other teams. Minnesota, another good offense for, most of last year. They got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, one of the better offenses on the West Coast, the LA Rams. Now they went from having Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp to having Puka and Devontae Adams. So they're not going to miss a beat. So, I mean, I'd pay Pickens if he's got a lot to show, but if he earns it, he earns it. To me, it's old man thinking. I'm an old guy, but I believe in forward thinking and updating equipment. Technology these days need to get outdated quick. Absolutely. I mean, the Steelers, they need to get their own facility, like so damn bad. Do what the Penguins do. Go out to Cranberry Township where there's a lot of land out there. Build your own facility. Get rid of, sharing this stuff with the Pitt Panthers. I mean, hopefully Pitt can get their own football stadium here, within the next half decade. But I'd even just say, hey, you want the whole facility? Guess what? Facility's yours. And I'd go to Cranberry Township. It's not that far away. Just get your own facility, because the whole building, you need a whole building, not half of one. I mean, you just thinking back to Hard Knocks, this past couple of months ago, each time on Hard Knocks, I'd be like, oh my goodness, look at the Baltimore Ravens practice facility. It looks like a damn college campus. And that's what you need if you're going to be an upper echelon team. I mean, Steelers, they're probably still using weight racks from the 50s. They, I think they just got a sauna or a heat room, sweat room just put in there a couple of years ago. Players had to go by other means to, get the proper treatment that they needed. Sometimes they go over to teammates' houses who had saunas at their houses and use that. So I mean, it's typical Rooney, just pinching pennies. It goes to the offense. He treats the offseason, the facility, like he does the offense. There's no money spent on offense thinking it's 1950s football. These guys, instead of getting all these treatments for recovery, and no wonder why we have these soft tissue injuries and all that, and our guys are worn down once December hits. He's probably thinking, oh, back in my day, these guys used to be, chewing tobacco and smoking cigarettes before going out there. Rocky training. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. So, Najee is right, but I'm just saying at this point, time to move on. We get it. Things were bad when you were here, but you weren't a part of the solution, and don't claim that, you were held back by these minor things. Moving on here, Steelers did make 2 re-signings today. First one being that they brought back everyone's favorite outside linebacker, not Highsmith or Watt or Herbig. No, it's Jeremiah Moon. Aaron Wilson, he is covering the Houston Texans. He says that the Steelers have reached an agreement with on a 1-year contract with the Steelers. Deal was negotiated by Harold Lewis and Ezra Thompson and Chad Berger of National Sports Agency. So Jeremiah Moon, mainly a special teamer, can rotate in every so often with the outside linebackers, especially if there's injuries or whatnot. Another one of those former Ravens that the Steelers have had a trend over the past couple of years to have picked up. I like it. Special teamer. He was even getting helmets on game days over Preston Smith, who the Steelers traded for at the deadline last year. Special teams ace. And it's important when you're filling out a 53-man roster that you have those special teamers. And another special teamer coming back, also signed to a 1-year contract, corner James Pierre. Now, originally, I was kind of like how I feel everybody else was, like, why the hell is James Pierre here? We all remember, him getting cooked in coverage when the Steelers were having injury issues at corner, and everybody remembers that perfectly thrown pass on a fake punt against the Commanders last year that went right through his arms. But, again, special team guy. It's not like he's being signed to be the corner one here. Just going over the stats here. Last year, Moon, 13 games, started one of those, and he made 9 combined tackles, 5 of those solo. So those are on special teams for the most part. And then James Pierre did have 1 interception. I forget what that interception was. Returned it for 18 yards. Had 3 pass defenses. Recovered 2 forced fumbles. Of course, those were on special teams. And he had 23 total tackles. Excuse me. But just looking at the Steelers signings of recently, there are not many that are going to wow Steelers fans and be like, oh, we have all this cap space. Why are we not spending money on big ticket items? It's because these guys are special teamers. Like, you got Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, James Pierre, Jeremiah Moon, put him with, Miles Killebrew, and even, second-year linebacker Peyton Wilson. Those guys are all core special teamers and some damn good ones. And last I checked, last year, near the end of the season, it was the offense that completely fell apart and the defense that was getting gashed over and over again in the run game. Steelers' best unit on the field was the special teams unit. Sometimes even when they went out there for a punt, you're like, oh, here we go. Guys are about to make a play. And it's those guys I just talked about, your James Pierre, Ben Skoranek, Miles Killebrew. Those guys are very important to the team. And, my thing is with that is why, if something isn't broke, don't fix it. So let Danny Smith keep working with guys that he clearly has among the league's best on special teams and keep that going there. Flacco, yep, just depth. I'm just worried about our O-line. They get hurt a lot. And yeah, There hasn't really been any additions to O-line. Right now, you're looking at a very inexperienced starting five on the line. You got Broderick Jones, who's finally playing at his natural position at left tackle. He's dealt with injuries through his first 2 years in the league. Then you got Isaac Seumalo at left guard, pretty sturdy, but I think he's had injury problems before. Zach Frazier missed time last year with an ankle injury. Now, granted, that was just a freak accident. He got rolled up on or landed on, something like that. Mason McCormick had a hand issue that made him miss the playoff game last year. And then Troy Fautanu, you got a right tackle who's basically going to be a rookie, only played in one game, really, who's coming off a major knee injury. So very inexperienced and, somewhat injury-prone offensive line. I don't think the Steelers are going to take an offensive lineman high in the draft. I probably could see them taking one in the middle to late rounds just for depth. But then again, you got guys like Ryan McCullum, Spencer Anderson, who have had playing experience in the NFL. So I'm more worried about the tackles than anything, if that makes sense there, Flacco. I'm more worried about, Jones and Fautanu, two guys that are basically playing new positions. And that's why I think they need a mobile quarterback, not statue Aaron Rodgers back there. See what else we got going on here. Do we go off? Okay, we're still on. Sorry, my computer screen there just glitched out there for a minute. That's kind of why I want a young guy at quarterback. They need to be able to move. Fautanu should be good to go. Yeah, Fautanu should be good to go, but again, basically a rookie. Only played one game in Denver and, got hurt after that. I believe, didn't he get hurt in practice? I think that's what happened. But yeah, you need a mobile guy. And hey, that's why, I would not be opposed at drafting Jalen Milroe. His throwing is going to take a lot to work on, but you got a sketchy O-line, you need somebody who can move, and he's by far the most dynamic quarterback in the draft in terms of scrambling. So Jalen Milroe would be my stamp of approval with a middle round pick. Hang on, I'm going to go find this real quick. I think last night I saw somebody did a mock draft that I completely and totally was head over heels for. Let me find it real quick. I have it right here. Yeah, right here. So somebody did a mock draft last night, just some random guy, nobody, not any of the analysts or whatever. Had the Steelers trading down in the first round to pick number 30, selected defensive tackle Kenneth Grant from Michigan. I think Kenneth Grant's a monster, though I don't think he waits till 30. That might be the Steelers needing to stick and pick at 24 or 21 for that to happen. Round 2, they took Travion Henderson, running back from Ohio State. I mean, you can argue amongst yourselves if, Henderson is a better running back prospect than his backfield counterpart, Quinshon Judkins. Third round, he had the Steelers taking Milroe at pick 83. And then, fourth round on down, had Denzel Burke, corner from Ohio State. Okay with that. Don't see them really taking a corner in the draft now. J.J. Pegues, defensive tackle, Ole Miss, would love Pegues. And then a linebacker and just a, bottom of the depth chart wide receiver. But yeah, I mean, need a mobile quarterback. All aboard the Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe train right now. It's been very quiet on the Aaron Rodgers front over the past couple of days. We talked about it yesterday, the Vikings reportedly being out on him, but I can't rule anything out, and neither should you. I mean, hell, one of the insiders that has been all over this Aaron Rodgers stuff, Diana Rossini from The Athletic, I believe she was on the Dan Patrick show today, and Patrick said, this isn't a report, but tell me right now, if you had to, make a guess, who would Aaron Rodgers, what team would he be on in 2025? And Rossini said the Vikings, even though, the Vikings were reported as out. So, don't take anything, don't take it as official until it's official. Flacco, they drafted him injured and re-injured at practice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did know Fautano was injured at practice. Just I don't understand. Like, the Rooneys don't like firing and paying people to not do their jobs, but the Steelers, they haven't made any changes this offseason, coaching staff wise. They made 2 positional coach changes. That's it. But one, probably arguably the biggest change that needed to happen, was to bring in a new strength and conditioning staff. I believe our strength and conditioning staff is full of people from Boston College, a college program, strength and conditioning staff from the school that Tomlin's son Dino goes to. And it should have been a fireable offense immediately when you have last year in Latrobe, Russell Wilson pushing a weighted sled before the first day of practices, and he gets injured there. And then, all the soft tissue, hamstring and groin injuries, that's a change that needed to be made. I don't understand why, and I'd expect more injury issues. That's why I'm worried about it, like you, Flacco. I'm worried about injury issues this year. Best ability is availability. I hope he retires. I don't hate Rodgers. I just don't want him on my team. I feel like he has nothing to lose and will pull an AB on the Bucs. I mean, Rodgers, I think he could still be useful. The only thing useful about Rodgers right now is his arm. One of the most accurate, best throwers of the football of all time. He could still, if you gave him 10 opportunities, 9 of those opportunities, he's still going to put the ball through a keyhole. But everything else about him right now, all of his other attributes to his game have rapidly declined, and he's too much of a headache off the field, toying with the media, whatever, throwing teammates under the bus. Just the juice ain't worth the squeeze with Rodgers. I can't get behind. I got behind it there for about a swift 24 to 48 hours of Rodgers possibly being the Steelers organization, but I can't anymore. I mean, I just hope that he either says, I want to stick it to the New York Jets, and what better way to stick it to the Jets than continue to play in their own stadium, but play for the team on the other side of town. And also, or, he could be stringing along the media this whole time just to retire, to get one more, shot in on those who he hates, reporters and whatnot, because he has just as good of a relationship as them as Tomlin does. Okay, we're going to move on to the Buccos real quick. A very interesting piece from Dan Kovacic of DK Pittsburgh Sports came out with a story today. He did a months-long deep dive getting information from those who used to work with the Pirates, those who work with the Pirates, PNC Park workers and baseball money gurus and all that, who track, how teams do revenue-wise and all that. And basically, there's, sure up pretty much describe what he says. If by all means, go check out and see his work. I read it this morning, and it was a doozy. Basically, the Bucs are losing money. They lost money in 2024 on top of existing debt that was created over the past couple of years. They've been taking out loans, and still, they're losing money. Debt for the Pirates is at high a total as it's ever been under Bob Nutting's ownership. So basically, it's not that the Pirates aren't making a profit. It's that they're not generating enough revenue and interest from, local things like the TV deal with Pittsburgh Sportsnet or Sportsnet Pittsburgh, ticket sales, actual people walking up to the window and buying a ticket, general interest from the public and all that. So besides, the Bucks getting aid from laws and programs in the MLB and MLB Players Association, like there's one thing where all 30 of the MLB teams take, just under 50% of their local revenue, put it all in a pot and split it evenly. That way, teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees are, not making such an exorbitant amount of money over smaller teams like the Pirates. But other than, them getting help from these programs and rules from the MLB, the Bucks aren't making enough money on their own. And really, it's on them. There's nobody else to blame besides themselves, because they have no care nor the motivation to connect with the city of Pittsburgh and the fans. Why do you think I'm wearing this shirt? I'm not just wearing it for the hell of it. It's because Nutting needs to sell the team. Because when's the last time that the Pittsburgh Pirates said something and said they're going to do something? Oh, we are committed to winning the 2025 season, which starts in a week, by the way. That is the year that the Pittsburgh Pirates finally get back into the playoffs. We're pushing all our chips in for 2025. Now, upon hearing that, probably around this time last year, or, when 2024 crapped the bed, did you hear that in real time and say, oh, yeah, they're totally going to invest in the team. Payroll's definitely going to be over $100 million, and they're definitely going to make an all-in push with Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, hopefully. Hope the Obo's all right. And Mitch Keller and this elite pitching rotation. No. Nobody believed it in the time. Nobody believes them now. Nobody will believe them. Thank God that there's, actual people in Pittsburgh. Shout out to Irate Pirates fan and Sports Canyon on Twitter. Check out those guys. Those guys are the leader behind the Sell the Team movement, putting up billboards all over Pittsburgh and holding the in-town protests, because the Pirates are probably the least transparent team in sports. They are shady and they never do what they're going to say. They make a promise. It's a hollowed promise. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do, because they do the exact opposite. They have no shame in losing whatsoever. They are okay being below 500, winning, no more than 76 games a year, picking in the top 10 of the MLB draft every year. They could care less. And you know why? Because they are scared of risk. They are one word that I love that DK used in his article, risk averse. If there's any risk to it, they're not going to do it. And that's on Bob Nutting. And whatever little money that they are generating, it's because they've spent that. Whatever little money they're generating, they spend it on the wrong things. Like Ben Cherington, the Bucks GM, he is the most analytic guy, stat head of all time, where instead of using his eyes and actually, using knowledge of the game, he'd have 20 nerds sitting in a room looking at, charts and numbers and saying, oh, this guy hasn't freaking hit a baseball to save his life in the past 5 years. But guess what? His swing, and when he does make contact, the launch angle that he's hitting the ball at, we can fix this guy, even though they don't know a damn thing about baseball. So basically, Pirates are losing money, and that is completely and totally pathetic to say when you have a, once in a generation superstar pitcher in Paul Skeens, that the fans aren't interested. Like, the days of people remembering, oh, I saw the Bucks win the World Series in the 1970s. Those people are pretty much the only Pirates fans left that truly care about the team, that have actually seen this team win. In my lifetime, I was still just, a kid, early teenager when I'm watching the Bucks in 2013, 2014, 2015. You know, there's that shouldn't be the one thing. Russell Martin hitting a home run off Johnny Cueto during the Cueto chants in the wild card game. That shouldn't be, for as decorated as a franchise as the Pirates are, that shouldn't be the my most cherished memory watching the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, hell, just me being in the stands, besides watching Paul Skeens last year, which I was at the game against, I believe it was the Tampa Bay Rays, in which he struck out that catcher on the his last pitch of the game that I believe Joe Block said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson, Paul Skeens for real." Besides, little memories like that, in person, my biggest memory was seeing a Sean Rodriguez. If you are a Buccos fan and you can remember that name, my biggest memory was watching Sean Rodriguez in his first game back, which by all means, he was not a superstar, hit a walk-off home run. It's ridiculous that, I don't have any more memories of this team actually being competitive and making the playoffs, and it's sad and it sucks. And Bob, sell the team, because team isn't generating money. You and Ben Cherington and the rest of the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, most of them, there's still some people in there that, I believe are right at heart and they just hate working for the guy in charge. But Bob, you need to sell the team, because you're wasting years of what could possibly be a top 5 player in Pirates history in Skeens. You're wasting his time here, kind of like how you wasted Garrett Cole's, and you're not making enough money. You're all about, you got to spend money to win money, but the saying will never die: spend nothing, win nothing. So it's just, I'm livid. Nobody has interest in the Bucks, and I don't blame people. Why would you? I'm a diehard Buccos fan because I was thankful to watch the Pirates when they were good in 2013 and 14 and 15 and all that. But you best not believe that kids in Pittsburgh are falling in love with baseball watching the Pirates. Flacco, the Pirates fans aren't as big. It's hard to sell tickets to a non-attractive team. Yeah, well, that's on nutting. You put an on-field product and they will come. If the Pirates are even sniffing the postseason come September this year, I guarantee you PNC Park is packed out night in, night out. And that's the problem. Nutting put no money into the team. There's nothing there to like. So why would people waste their money to go see the team get blown out 10-2 by the Yankees when you can sit back and save your money at home if you even bother to tune into the game? It's not an issue with the fans. It's an issue with nutting. What's the saying? If you build it, they'll come. From, Pirates fans, they're there in Pittsburgh. Probably the most, throwback to when the Pirates were good crowd I've seen at PNC Park was the first game 2-3 years ago when Andrew McCutchen made his return and he called for a blackout at PNC Park, and that place was filled to the roof. Steelers have a massive following here in Tampa. It's majority Steelers fans. When Bucks do play the Steelers, it's the majority of Steelers fans. The Pirates just don't got that it factor. Again, on nutting, they had definitely had the it factor back when you had Roberto Clemente and when you had Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, all those guys. You don't have it anymore. They need to find it again, and it's because they got the most incompetent, worst owner in all of professional sports. They need to spend money on superstars. Like, it shouldn't be like pulling teeth to ask for the Bucks to maybe, hey, give $10 million and bring Aroldis Chapman back. Or, hey, there's this right outfielder, Anthony Santander. He signed, I think a 3 or 5 year contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, spend a little bit of money. Like, here, you want this? This is a prime example. Today, Alex Verdugo, outfielder for the Yankees. Not a superstar, but at least a half-decent, well-known name in the MLB. Alex Verdugo signed a 1-year, $1.5 million contract, with the Atlanta Braves. The Bucks have been rumored to be in on him all offseason, but instead of getting Verdugo, who I believe is around 30, if I had to guess, instead of, paying maybe 1 year, $5 million instead of 1 year, $1.5 million that the Braves gave to him, instead of giving Verdugo, who has a power bat, instead of giving him some money, they paid $4 million for what remains of Tommy Pham, a 37-year-old who has been a journeyman in the MLB, was on 3 different teams last year. The Pirates wouldn't know freaking talent unless that talent that is worth throwing some money at, they wouldn't know if it hit them in the face. And thankfully, Paul Skeens hit them in the face, which I could have been in that room and known to have taken Skeens two years ago. But yeah, Pirates need to spend money on superstars, and fortunately, they're not going to until Nutting sells the team and they get in an actual owner who cares about winning and cares about the fans, because the Pirates have become numb to criticism. They've become numb to winning, or they've become numb to losing. He's like 28 or 29 now. Yeah, I mean, still though, you put him in left field, probably a better defender than what Tommy Pham is. And I don't care if he has strikeout issues. The Pirates are one of the worst strikeout teams in the league last year. So who cares if they just bring in another dude who, instead of striking out and sucking, will strike out, every 2 or 3 times and hit a bomb or an extra base hit the other 2. Just absolutely ridiculous. Real quick, let's just hit on some Penguins news. No real news on them today. They continue to, just be chugging along here towards the first overall pick, hopefully after losing to the Islanders 4-2 the other night. No new injury news on players like P.O. Joseph, Tommy Novak, Ryan Shea. They all skated before practice today, but they haven't been back in the lineup. There was some news on Emil Bemstrom, who was out of the lineup a couple of nights ago. He had some sort of undisclosed ailment, as Sullivan liked to say. But for the meantime, Juna Koppinen will continue to remain in the lineup. And yeah, I mean, Pens are just the Pens right now. I'm happy that they're competing for a top overall pick, because they're at least not, stuck in complete and total failure like the Pirates, and they're not stuck in the middle of the road like the Steelers are. Let's do a quick stroll here through X, see if anything else is going on here right now. Oh, Ron Rivera is going to California, the college, as a general manager. Interesting. Thought he might want to stay in the NFL, but good for Ron Rivera. Kind of like Charlie Batch, the going to Colorado. NFL guys going back to college. Okay, yeah, so Jeremiah Moon, 1-year contract, that's confirmed. So, Flacco, if you're still in here, how about you join me on Monday? I might fire up PFF and do a mock draft. I think that's what I'm going to do till the draft. I'm getting into full draft mode. I was watching the Big 12 pro days today, so we're going to do a mock draft Monday, I think, from now up until the draft. How old is Michael Gallup? Yeah, I saw he came out of retirement to go to what, the Commanders? What's even hilarious, I saw this today, was apparently Amari Cooper is getting interest from both the Raiders and the Cowboys. So looks like he's going back to one of his former teams. It'd be hilarious if the Cowboys brought back Amari Cooper, sort of like how they did Zeke Elliott, guy past his prime. So doesn't look like there's any more new news today. So probably going to go tune in, see how Bobby Moe, Robert Morris does in March Madness. And I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight. 6 of you in here right now. Going to do Gallup is only 29. I'm waiting for Todd Gurley to come back. Todd Gurley. Yeah, bring out Philip Lindsay and what's trying to think of old running backs now. Yeah, Zeke Elliott, he can come back. Isn't Zeke out with the Chargers with Najee? Or am I tripping? Zeke is out west somewhere. He got picked up by someone, I thought. I don't know. Yeah, let's bring back all of these guys. Where's Devontae Freeman and all that? Sony Michel, James White. Let's bring out all the old running backs. If Michael Gallup can come out of retirement at 29, Big Ben can come in and save us for the Steelers, and he's younger than Rodgers. 8 of you in here right now. I appreciate it very much. The Vikings are reportedly interested in Carson Wentz as a backup to J.J. McCarthy, per NFL rumors. No, Vikings, take Aaron Rodgers. He wants to be there. I don't care if you don't want him. Aaron Rodgers is your problem, not ours. We are not taking Aaron Rodgers. Vikings, don't you dare sign Carson Wentz. Don't you do it. Because then that means that Russell Wilson's going to sign with the Giants and we're stuck with Rodgers. It's going to be down to him or retirement. No. Be a man. Take one for the team, Minnesota. I hear that Aaron Rodgers is very good at mentoring young quarterbacks. Please take him off our hands. You know what? Screw it. Let's do a mock draft for fun real quick. I don't have PFF to trade up and down, but we're going to do one real quick just for the hell of it before I log off for the night. Let's go Steelers, pick 21. Let's do 3 rounds. There we go. Okay. See how PFF got this doing. And by the way, if you're doing ever a mock draft simulator, PFF is probably one of the best because they're actually taking into account free agent moves and trades and whatnot, because I've done PFF and 2 other mock draft simulators, and the other 2 that I did, they still have Shedeur Sanders going to the Jets. I don't see them taking a quarterback with them just paying Fields. Okay, first 5 picks. Cam Ward, Abdul Carter. See, that's the one pick that I don't want the Browns to make. Abdul Carter to Cleveland. I would hate for them to get the best defensive player in the draft to put opposite Myles Garrett. I want them to be dumb. I'd rather them take Travis Hunter, who's most likely going to be a wide receiver only at the NFL level, and he's not going to have really anybody to throw him the ball. Who's going to throw him the ball? Deshaun Watson or Kenny Pickett? I'd be okay if they took Travis Hunter, or, if they are stupid, which I'm not going to put it by Cleveland Browns fans, and they take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But Abdul Carter is the one pick that I do not want the Browns to make. I could live with everything else. So Cam Ward goes 1, Abdul Carter goes 2, Travis Hunter 3 to the Giants. What the hell are the New England Patriots doing? They take Ashton Genty 4th. That's crazy. Mason Graham 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Will Campbell tackle 6 to the Raiders. Armin Membo tackle 7 to the Jets. Michael Williams, Jihad Campbell, Shamar Stewart 8, 9, and 10 to the Panthers, Saints, and Bears. Corner Will Johnson, number 11, to the San Francisco 49ers. He could be a Steeler pick if he falls. Tyler Warren, tight end, going 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. That's an interesting pick for them. Edge Mike Green to the Dolphins. That's a good pick. Tetaroa McMillan, first wide receiver off the board, number 14 to the Colts. Donovan Ezeraku, edge to the Falcons at 15. Nick Amenwari, safety, who's flying up draft boards. Dude is a physical freak. He goes to the Cardinals. Damn it. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle to the Bengals. See, that would have been my pick had he been there for the Steelers. Josh Simmons, tackle to the Seahawks at 18. Jade Barron, corner to the Buccaneers at 19. And Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia, to the Broncos at 20. So Steelers are on the clock. There are 2 trades that I can't make. One of them is from the Eagles. They're offering pick 32. But I can't make any trade exceptions right now. So we got Malachi Starks, safety, available, no. James Pierce, edge rusher, maybe. Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, my draft darling, is there. And then 3 good defensive tackles, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Walter Nolan are there. Also, you got Matthew Golden and a running back, Amarian Hampton. So, who's the running back for the Browns? Nobody. They got Jerome Ford, and that's it right now. I just like purple teams. I hope to see you for Monday for that draft. Absolutely. Join me back then. But who are we taking now, Flacco? I mean, Derek Harmon is the guy I think they like really much. Dude tested like Cam Hayward at the Combine. Also, Darius Alexander, an older prospect, 25 years old. But dude is an absolute unit. And they really like him as a MAC guy from Toledo. You know what? We're going to lose our minds. We're going to take Emeka Egbuka. I know the Steelers brought in DK Metcalf. I know that, but you got 2 hotheads in George Pickens and DK Metcalf. You need a guy to balance that all out, a down-to-earth player in Emeka Egbuka who isn't going to be an issue. I didn't even look to take Jackson Dart there. Kind of mad at myself for that, but, I mean, did he even go yet? We're past the 2nd round. Where did Dart go? Dart went early 2nd round. Okay. Still, though, I picked Jalen Milroe if he's there at 83. And he's not. He got picked up by the... Milroe got picked up by the Giants. Ooh, they're going to ruin him up there. So, let's look here. All right, not many defensive linemen left. Vernon Broughton. Jordan Phillips is there from Maryland. He interests me. DJ Giddens, running back from Kansas State. See, this is where it would have been very helpful. You know what? That was my pick right there. Deion Walker from Kentucky, still on the board. Just, I'll put it this way. Walker, 21 years old, 6'6", 345 pounds. I'm taking that all day long. We need a monster on the defensive line to stop Derrick Henry. Yeah, maybe pick 32 would have been good for Dart. If I would have been able to draft down, to trade down, I would have let the, Eagles come up and get a defensive lineman because they're going to get one anyway. The Eagles always take a defensive lineman, so why not let them go in front of us? We slide down to 32. We can either take Jackson Dart and probably recoup a second-day pick and get a good defensive lineman there. It's better to have – I'd be much more comfortable instead of picking, 1 out of 3 defensive linemen and losing out on Dart. I'd feel much better just trading down, getting Dart, and then having 1 or 2 of those defensive linemen come off the board and just take the one that's left. Make our decision a lot easier. Okay. More bang for your buck. Yeah. All right, everybody. Been on here for about an hour. Thank you for joining me tonight. Be back tomorrow night for some more Pittsburgh sports news, and then albeit till Monday, hopefully some more enticing Steelers news over the weekend. If there's anything massive, I, of course, will be on here immediately and tend to get more viewership when there's, big news breaking. So hopefully then, think still my DK Metcalf stream when that trade broke is still my biggest. So I appreciate each and every one of you who tuned in for that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and feel free to like and share the stream and comment in the live chat. I like engaging with you fine folks like Flacco did here. Also have had some other guys in here, Chad Schrader and a handful of other normals, regulars for me. So appreciate it very much. Thank you all for joining me here tonight. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Again, not a big sports night for, Pittsburgh-wise. Pretty much the only team that's, worth tuning in for right now is Robert Morris in the March Madness tournament. Let's see, when are they on? Tomorrow at noon. So tune in and see Robert Morris tomorrow afternoon. Pretty much the only Pittsburgh team worth the watch right now until the Pirates games begin. But thank you all for watching me tonight and staying here. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night. Like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thank you guys. Peace.